Hey, what's going on everyone? In today's video, I'm going to walk you through on how I made this watch out of broken skateboards. I went over to my local skate shop where they had some broken skateboards. Anytime they bill a customer a new skateboard setup, they hold on to the broken ones for me. The first part in breaking down these skateboard decks is taking off the grip tape. I find the easiest way to accomplish this is by heating the grip tape and then taking a wooden dowel and rolling up the grip tape. You're going to want to remove the clear coat along with the printed graphics on both the top and bottom side of the board. This is going to allow the glue to actually stick to the wood. Next, I take the boards over to my table saw, and with my table saw sled in place, I cut the nose and tail off the boards, leaving me with the middle parts of the skateboard. I can remove the table saw sled and rip those boards into 1/4 inch strips. I'm using a 2-part epoxy to glue the strips together, stacking them one on top of each other to make my blank. Make sure you apply the epoxy to both sides of the strips so you don't get any dry places when you go to clamp them. When clamping the strips, I like to place caul boards on the sides of the strips to keep the pieces level and straight. If you like what you're seeing so far, please consider subscribing, and thank you. The clamps and move over to my drill mill to face off one side to make it even. After the one side is complete, I flip it over and repeat. I mill the blanks to about 7 millimeters thick. This black piece I'm milling is going to be the centerpiece for the watch. I just made this out of epoxy resin with a black tint. I milled this down to about 2 millimeters thick. Once the black centerpiece has been milled, I then put my Forstner bit in the drill and drill out the hole that will accept the watch movement. Next, I take the top half of the watch and begin drilling out the holes to accept the watch crystal. And this is where having a sharp Forstner bit is a must.
Alright guys, bad news. As you probably saw from that last footage, my Forstner bits were super dull, and that resulted in it catching my workpiece and completely breaking it in half. Yeah, so I threw the other half in a fit of rage somewhere. I don't know where it's at. I'm also out of these colors. So I actually made up another blank a couple days ago using all the colors that I had on hand. So I'm going to continue the watch build using these colors, and I'm hoping my Forstner bits are sharp now and we can get through this project.
Here I'm drilling out the bottom half of the watch that will accept the bottom crystal.
Alright, so I finally got everything cut on my Forstner bits that I needed to cut. Like I said, I was going to use the colorful skateboard stock that I made up. So I used that one, and I was going to use it for the top as well, but I broke it on the Forstner bits again. So I was able to salvage one of the purple ones. So I'm going to use that for the top, and then I have my center black piece here, and then of course my colorful one on the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead and glue those up, and that should be the watch case.
Again, I used a 2-part epoxy to glue up the 3 parts of the watch. Make sure that the holes are all centered with one another. After the epoxy has been fully cured, I can take off the clamps and test fit my movement. This template I made up allows me to center my movement in the very center of the watch using the small hole in the circle. This will also be used to determine the final size of the watch when sanding it. I move over to the bandsaw where I remove a bulk of the material and then over to the belt sander to sand right up next to the template for the final size. I head back over to the mill to drill in the hole for the watch stem that will fit right into the movement. While also at the mill, I begin to drill out all the holes on the watch face that will correspond with the placement of the hours. I'm only drilling down about 2 millimeters. I then take my brass and copper rods and epoxy them into the holes. I remove most of the brass and copper using my belt sander and then finish them flush with a small file. Here I'm just adding a slight roundover on the bottom and top of the watch for a more comfortable fit. The finish I'm going to be using on this watch is a CA finish from Stickfast. I apply a small mount to a paper towel and simply apply it to the wood while chucked up in my mill. I also apply a CA Quick Cure activator between each coat of CA. After the clear coat has been applied, I begin to polish and finish using my micro mesh sanding sticks and sanding from 6,000 up to 12,000 grit. Using my second template, I place it on the bottom of the watch case. This will allow me to mark in my cuts needed for my 20mm wide watch band. Using my Dremel and a small burr bit, I remove the wood slow and steady. I can now finally insert my movement and then take the stem and place it into the movement. I take a small dab of epoxy and place out on the very edges of the movement permanently to set the movement into place. I can now take some super glue that is dedicated to glass adhesion and insert it onto the back crystal. Using the same glue, I will now place a large main crystal on the watch. Make sure all dust is removed from inside the watch and off the crystal itself. The watch band I'm going to be using is a top grain leather band from Barton Watch Bands. Their quality and selection of bands are amazing. After the band has been placed, I call this watch complete. Thank you so much for watching, and please drop a like. Also, please leave a comment on what kind of watch you'd like to see me build next. We'll catch you later.